Hello, I'm Alec, and I will be covering the upcoming 2012 presidential election for kids from now through inauguration. Our topic today is the Republican Iowa Caucuses, in which Mitt Romney came in first by only 8 votes over Rick Santorum. The two combined accounted for about 50% of the vote, with Romney and Santorum at 25%. This is by far the closest GOP caucus or primary in history. Ron Paul came in third with 21%, Newt Gingrich came in fourth with 13%, Rick Perry finished fifth with 10%, Michelle Bachmann 6th, 5%, John Huntsman 7th with 1%. There is some controversy, however, about the actual winner. With electronic ballots, which are used in all other states besides Iowa when nominating a candidate, a .01 margin of error should be allowed. Studies show, however, that when votes are made and counted by hand like they do in Iowa, a 0.5 to 1% margin of error should be allowed, which definitely could have given Santorum a victory. Here is a 2-minute long clip from the runner-up's speech.
I think about that today. There's so many men and women right now who would love to work hard, but they don't have the opportunity. And we have two parties who are out talking about how they're going to solve those problems. One wants to talk about raising taxes on people who have been successful and redistributing money, increasing dependency in this country, promoting more Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps, and all sorts of social welfare programs, and passing Obamacare to provide even more government subsidies, more and more dependency, more and more government. Exactly what my grandfather left in 1925. And then there's another vision. There's another vision, Republican vision, which is let's just cut taxes. Let's just reduce spending and everyone will be fine. I believe in cutting taxes. I believe in balancing budgets. I propose cutting $5 trillion from this budget over the next 5 years. I support a balanced budget amendment that puts a cap at 18% of GDP as a guarantee of freedom for this country. But I also believe we as Republicans have to look at those who are not doing well in our society by just cutting taxes and balancing budgets. And that's why I put forth a plan that Iowans responded to. It's a plan that says, yes, let's flatten the tax code, get rid of it, replace it with 5 deductions. Let's create 2 rates, 10 and 28. Why 28? If it's good enough for Ronald Reagan, it's good enough for me.
Santorum talks about the economy, which is one of the most critical issues in our nation today. He alluded to government size when talking about Medicaid and Medicare. We currently have a program that gives every citizen over the age of 65 Medicare and any lower-class families Medicaid. These are both paid for by the government. Santorum was against this. Typically, Republicans are for smaller government, while Democrats are typically for larger and stronger government that protects the people. He then used a great line to finish his argument about his rank policy, saying, if it's good enough for Ronald Reagan, it's good enough for me. This has been one of Santorum's selling points, saying he has the Reagan conservatism that this country needs. He says that Mitt Romney lacks the hardcore conservatism, which, in the eyes of members of the Tea Party, would make Santorum a much stronger candidate than Mitt Romney is. Speaking of Romney, here's a 2-minute excerpt from his speech.
We face an extraordinary challenge in America, and you know that. And that is, internationally, Iran is about to have nuclear weaponry just down the road here. And this president, what's he done in that regard? He said he'd have a policy of engagement. How's that worked out? All right, not terribly well. We have no sanctions of a severe nature, crippling sanctions put in place. The president was silent when dissident voices took to the streets in Iran. And of course, he hasn't prepared the military options that would present credibly our ability to take out the threat that would be presented by Iran. He's failed on that. And then how about with regards to the economy? He went out and borrowed $787 billion, and his administration said they'd hold unemployment below 8%. Hasn't been below 8% since. You got 25 million people today out of work, or stopped looking for work, or unable to get the kind of job that will allow them to meet their needs. This is not just a statistic, by the way. These 25 million people, this unemployment of 8.5%. These are real people whose lives have been impacted severely. People who lose their jobs over a long period of time. They sometimes lose their marriages, lose their faith, become depressed. This is just a tragedy. It didn't need to happen. Almost everything the president has done has made it harder for businesses to grow and to hire and to put people back to work. And then, of course, there's one more aspect of his track record that's been a failure. He was critical of President Bush for not balancing the budget, for having such large deficits. His deficits have been 3 times larger or more. He's on track by the end of his first term. He's on track to put almost as much public debt in place as all the prior presidents combined. This has been a failed presidency. And I'm absolutely convinced that if we want to get jobs again in this country, it's going to be helpful to have a person who's had a job in the private sector to create jobs in the private sector.
Romney speaks a lot about jobs and says that the Obama administration has failed to create them. He says that Obama criticized President Bush for not balancing the budget, but Obama's deficits have been 3 times Bush's. He also mentions that by the end of Obama's first term, he's on track to put us in almost as much debt as all the other presidents combined. That's all I've got for you on the Iowa caucuses. Keep checking my channel, more on the upcoming New Hampshire and South Carolina primaries. There are links down in the info box for more kids' election websites. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.